Hey Peaches, today we're going to take a look at Box and Whisker Plots. This is the same PowerPoint that you have in your Google Classroom assignment. So go ahead and watch this or click through the PowerPoint and fill out your notes as we go. So a box and whisker plot is a way of showing a group of data visually and kind of showing the spread and the variation of the data. One way that we see this a lot is test results. You can graph the test results of a class and kind of see how everybody falls on the spread or on the spectrum. So a box and whisker plot will show you the median and the extremes of a data set. The median is the number in the middle. It's the middle term when you put them in order from least to greatest. If there is an odd number of data set, then you'll have a middle value. But if there are an even number of data points, then you're going to have two numbers in the middle, and that's when you'll need to do this. You'll need to average the two middle terms. The extremes are the minimum and maximum values. We have a lower extreme and an upper extreme. We use those extreme values, the minimum and maximum, to find the range of the data set. And this is just like when you find mean, median, mode, and range, doing averages in your elementary grades. It's the same idea. So if you subtract the minimum and the maximum, you'll get the range. Upper extreme minus lower extreme is range. Everything here is divided into quartiles. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 areas, making it quartiles. So we have a lower quartile and a upper quartile. So this is the lower extreme. This is the lower quartile. Try not to get those confused. This is the upper extreme, and this is the upper quartile. If we subtract those, we get what's known as the interquartile range. It's just the range from this value to this value. You will see this abbreviated as the IQR, just so you're aware of that. Box and whisker plots are uniform in the use of the box. No matter how many numbers you have, no matter how big the numbers are, it's always going to be divided into quarters, which is 25%. So that section is 25%. That section is also 25%. If we combine them, we get 50%. This is a very large section, but it is still only 25% of the data. If we were to combine these three, we've got 25, 25, 25 for a grand total of 75% of the data. The entire box and whisker plot would be equal to 100% because we've got 25, 50, 75, 100. No matter how the diagram looks or how even or uneven the sections are, they're always 25% of the data. It does not matter how big the section is, it's still a quarter of the data. So we're just going to really drive that point home. A whole lot of animations. Really just make sure that that's clear. So here's an example. Mr. Patterson surveyed the school band and the school orchestra to find out how many CDs everybody owned, and he showed his data in the box and whisker plots that you see here. So let's take a look at these and answer some basic questions. Which group has a higher percent of members with between 20 and 30 CDs? So this has 25, 50%. So 50% of the band falls in that range. Here, only 25% of the orchestra falls in the range of 20 to 30. So which group has a higher percent? That's going to be the band. Which group has the higher range? Well, let's take a look. The band has a minimum of 5 and a maximum of 40. So 40 minus 5 would be 35. The orchestra has a minimum of 10 and a maximum of 45. 45 minus 10 is 35. So which group has the higher range? Neither. It's the same. Which group has the higher interquartile range? So again, we're going to look from the quartiles here and the quartiles here. And I can do the math on this one, but I really don't have to. I can tell by the size of the box that this is a larger interquartile range than here. So I know what the answer is going to be, but let's go ahead and do the math just for practice. Here we go from 20 to 30. This has an interquartile range of 10. Here we're going from 15 to 30. This has an interquartile range of 15. The group with the higher IQR is the orchestra. This double Box and Whiskers plot shows the test scores for two classes. So Mr. Johnson and Ms. Winston gave the same test, and they graphed how their students did on that test. Which class had the lowest test grade, and what was the score? Well, that's the minimum. So Mr. Johnson, the minimum is 55. Ms. Winston, the minimum is 60. So Mr. Johnson has the lowest grade. Which class has a higher median, and what is it? So the median is the number right here in the middle. Mr. Johnson has a median of 80. Ms. Winston's class has a median of 85. So it's Ms. Winston. If 80 is a passing grade, which class has a higher percentage of students passing? Well, here's 80. We have a quartile here and a quartile here. So 50% of Mr. Johnson's class got an 80 or higher. Over here, this one's a little bit tougher to read. I can't tell exactly where it is because it's in the middle of a quartile, but I know it's more than 50% because here's 50% and that's on 85. So I'm going to say Miss Winston. Mr. Johnson had 50% pass and Miss Winston had more than 50% pass. All right, that's it, guys. You're good to go. Go ahead and fill out your notes and finish the assignment in Google Classroom.